Yo, this is the Foul Hooked Whitey. I'm back. I've been away a few weeks. Today, this is going to be a solo rant. My partner, Booty. Booty's working. You know, Booty's getting some game as a guide. I miss Booty. But we took a few weeks off, and now I'm back. What I want to talk about today is something that's really been a big part of my life over the last, 60 days. And that's, my shop down in Thermopolis. As I covered in the 5 parts of the rise and fall of East Rosebud High School. My intention still is to, shut my Billings operation down, liquidate my inventory as much as I have to, and pay the vultures off, including, the river goddess. She's vulture number 1 in terms of being in line of being due. So, and she's not a vulture, right? It's just a saying. So I want to talk about my time over the last 8, 9, 10 weeks in the 307. But before that, fly fishing Nielsen ratings came in. And once again, it's a professional setback. According to the Nielsen Corporation, we're actually down to 0 listenership. So we're starting fucking over. And I'm going to start it over by talking about Thermopolis and my time building out that shop, which, that's very, very likely and more than likely the last fly shop I'll ever build out. And I did that in the process of, dealing with my good business in Billings. It's not there yet, but it's getting closer. And, the folks down in Thermopolis, and I mean everything from the guiding apparatus to the locals, to the tourists. It's been fascinating going from this here in a metro Montana town to, a small community on a blue ribbon stream. The most interesting thing that I've come across, and it didn't surprise me, but I got reminded it's real. And that's that the folks that are actually from Thermopolis that are guides, fishermen, anglers, they're paranoid about more folks coming there. And I say paranoid respectfully. I really have. It's, me coming in with a new shop and, let's just say, I'm real obvious. I've had, a mixed reaction until, these wonderful folks in Thermopolis are, he's got some stuff. So that's the, that's the niche I've already established in a short period of time down there. And the local guides have been straight up fucking wonderful to me. They just have. Every one of them. And I say this because I've done a lot of guide business historically in Billings. You want guide business. You want that relationship. Those guys are sitting in a boat and they're like, be like, hey, you should stop over there at East Rosebud after we're done. That guides matter. And, early on, in a much smaller volume and in traffic setting, guides, like, they can tip your day into a good result. So I've got this new thing with guides. And, these guys down in Thermopolis, these guides, excuse me, they want somebody to have what they need. Because just like in the Montana Bighorn, these guys are fucking working. And, there's a hierarchy down there. There's a hierarchy. I mean, there really is. There's a gentleman that, he's been referenced to me as the man, like, a lot. And, that is, his last name's Schwabe. He's got a, legit kid that's, young 20s, high teens, that's like, above average already as a young guide. And, it kind of, it's amazing how many people have just spoken respectfully and positively about this guide. And from there, it kind of is a quality pecking order. And these guys, the locals that are from there, Thermopolis, Lander, Riverton, that clique of men, those guys are tight. I mean, I'm sure there's fireworks in action between plenty of them, but at the end of the day, they are kind of all savvy to the increase in traffic on that fishery down in and around Thermopolis because of the Casper, the Jackson Hole guides. That fishery is a spring fishery. In March and April, that the bighorn in and around Thermopolis is, that's pre-grass. And on this fishery, grass really matters. In Montana on the bighorn, good guides, superb guides can work around it. But right now is a tough grass season down there, and it's been really a benefit to me personally and professionally to get to know these guys. And I could tell right away they haven't been getting what they need. So the paranoid part of these gentlemen is, rooted in the fact that there's just a lot more traffic on this fishery. This fishery is probably about, I don't know, half the bighorn in Montana size, maybe a little bigger, but not much. And it gets a lot of traffic. It gets a lot of Montana traffic. It gets a lot of Colorado traffic. And I would say, the greenies, the anglers from Colorado, these cats are, I think, disliked the most. And the one thing that I've heard from a number of the local or the consistent guides on this fishery is that what they don't like is they don't like other boats, other anglers posting up. So it's such a different fishery when it comes to the row around psychology that you'll see in Montana that's very effective for clients. Guides use it all the time. Going back upstream and running through that premium drift one more time. So, you don't get that luxury down on that fishery. And these guides that are from that area, again, Lander, Thermopolis, Riverton, they're really on the health and the protection of these fish. Maybe this is just how it goes when you have a shop, on a fishery. I've never done that before. So it's fascinating to, be getting into that and learning the people and the men that are down there professionally guiding. What happens is that, they start getting, owly about more and more boat traffic, but when I get pressed on it, and I have been, I had a gentleman in the shop the other day, nice man, did a little business with him. He said, "Can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Well, of course." And this guy looks at me and says, "Is it true you're bringing 15 guides down here with you?" I'm like, "What the fuck? What? Who the fuck said that? That's ridiculous." Oh, well, I'm like, "No, it's okay. I'm just saying that I've never worked with 5 guides. I'm not somebody that has a mark on guiding and outfitting in this marketplace. But that'll just tell you right there that this local dude, born and raised there, fly fisherman, he'd heard somebody tell him that I had another customer from down there say, "Is it true you're down here because the fisheries up and around your store in Billings are all depleted and there's no fish left?" I'm like, what the fuck? Who told what? So there's drama with a new fly shop in town. And so far, and I know this is how it's gonna be, I've been treated superbly. I really have. I mean, when you come into a marketplace that exists, I mean, what I'm going to do down there is going to be, it's going to be special in the sense of the town's never had it before, and I really need these guides to help me do that, because they're obviously the ears of the fishing community. They're on the fishery every day, and it is busy. It is busy. It is busy, but. I mean, I had to say to one guy who was a good dude, I mean, you don't know what busy is. That's busy to them. I get that. But, man, when you look at the Montana fishery, the Bighorn, and obviously the Missouri as well, that's some real fucking boat traffic. They're bigger. They absorb that boat traffic way better. And I understand where these guys are coming from. But, that fishery is not spoiled. There's a 3 or 4 or 4 or 5 or 6 guides down there that are, top tier. And, these cats are hooking their clients up on some nice fish, both browns and rainbows. It seems to be primarily a rainbow fishery from what I'm gathering so far. I fished, upstream in the Wind River stretch of this same fishery, the canyon. Don't be upset, everybody. It's people know about the canyon, and the canyon has kicked my ass. It's fucking kicked my ass. You slide down on your ass into this thing, and I mean literally slide down on your ass. Otherwise, you're going to break your fucking head getting down there. Most spots. And you get down there and you're just in this, holy fuck, this clear green, deep. I can only imagine what the fuck could come charging out of there on my bugger. And I've had 2 nice experiences, just meaning that I've seen 2 big fish, and I mean 4 to 6, 6 to 8 pounds, brown trout, take a casual stab at my bugger. It's a legit streamer fishery, but it's more of a nymph fishery until some of the bigger bugs come out in mid to late June down there in that area, which is like cicadas, hoppers. I'm going to close this out with a quick comment, a quick story. I had a young man down there who's a teacher who showed me a spot of working brown trout. That's the nicest thing anybody's done for me since I went down there. So he took me to the spot. He showed me, and I've gone back a few different times and seen some fish, seen some nice browns, but fucking tough to get and eat. Whether you're throwing a thin min at them or a size 18, betas. And that's the problem. In that fishery, as far as, the mayflies, there's people fishing like fucking 22s and 24s. I mean, I'm Mr. Silverback Gorilla here. I fish a lot of 2s and 4s. But it's not as easy with a streamer in the canyon. Oh, no. So anyway, that's the end of episode 1. East Rosebud in the 307. I'm the Foul Hooked Whitey. Out.